Toronto, Canada's biggest and most diverse city, bursting with energy and character. And an undeniable part of that character, it's Chinatowns. The area around Dundas and Spadina is Toronto's best known and most dynamic Chinatown. The sidewalks, especially on the weekends, are crammed with merchandise, produce, and thousands of shoppers eager to buy, to eat, and to socialize. It's like a little slice of China.
If you were to go into our Chinatowns downtown, you would see remnants of the early Chinatown. The families, the older families that are still living there, or the immigrant families that are there, they're growing their gardens in the front yard, and they have choy, and they have melons growing, snow peas, and it's almost like the old days, that you're taking a step back.
And while this is Toronto's biggest and best known Chinatown, it's not the only one. In fact, the Greater Toronto Area is now home to at least 6 Chinatowns, which presents both opportunity and some challenges.
As far as the communities in Toronto, we have many, and we'd like to see more unification. It's such a huge community that it's so diverse, it's hard, but we'd like to think with places like the Culture Center, with the Chinese Homes for the Aged, that they become showcases that we can share with the other people in the city as well.
And there are a lot of other people with whom to share. Over the years, the community has become a virtual potpourri of different cultures and ethnicities.
If you walk along Chinatown, you will see Vietnamese shops, you see Korean restaurant, you see Japanese restaurant, and most of the fabric places are run by the Indian people. So it's like I would say a South Asian ethnic kind of place in Chinatown today.
But for the Chinese, now more than ever, Chinatown has taken on a very special meaning and purpose. That of helping them connect to their past.
There's something inherently unique about Chinatown that I think if it didn't exist, if I didn't have a place to go like Chinatown, you know, it would be very easy for me to forget or to feel very disconnected from the Chinese culture. Having grown up and hanging around in Chinatown and going to those different places and just being able to access that part of myself and my culture within this, you know, larger Canadian context is invaluable.
What good is a great deal if it's not on a great vehicle? Right now, during the Honda year-end sales event, pick home Honda's legendary quality and reliability at our best prices of the year. Get incredible savings, up to $4,000 off the cash purchase price on select 2010 models. A Honda is definitely built to last, but this event isn't. Hurry into your local Honda dealer today for these amazing deals, plus other great lease offers. The Honda year-end sales event, on now.
We all know there are germs on the surfaces of our mouth, but what we might not all know is that those germs can build into a resilient layer called biofilm. Biofilm germs are strong enough to survive daily brushing. Thankfully, there's Listerine. Its triple action formula penetrates biofilm to kill the germs and protect your mouth from bad breath for up to 12 hours. fight biofilm with Listerine.
When the power goes out, you can count on the reactor emergency light. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center location. Now, there's a new reactor emergency light with a slimmer design. It's a handy night light. It's a rechargeable emergency light that stays on when the power goes out. It's even a powerful LED flashlight. Be ready for any blackout with the new, slimmer reactor emergency light. Just $14.97.
Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations.
Oh, I want to be in that rumba, and the dance go over there. Oh, over there!
What was this all about?
The first wave of Chinese came to Toronto, not from Western Canada, but from south of the border.
In the record, the early group of the Chinese is laundry people. They moved up from America. It was not until 1890 to 1900 that more Chinese travel by train from Vancouver to Toronto.
One of the original pioneers was a man by the name of Sam Ching. Sam ran a laundry on Adelaide Street more than 130 years ago, on the same spot where this high-rise office building now stands. And he just happens to be the very first Chinese person listed in the city's directory. A fact that left historian Valerie Ma wanting to know more.
I went to 1877 and I found a man, Sam Ching, and he lived on Adelaide Street in a building all by himself. So here he was all by himself, registered all by himself in this particular restaurant. A few years later, I see two names, Sam something or other. Now, in Chinese custom, the surname comes first. So my theory is that this was a relative. It had to be a brother, an uncle, who was now operating another laundry further down the street. And so it worked out that in the early years, there were actually, of the 69 laundries, 30 of them were operated by Chinese.
And nearly 30 years after Sam's arrival, Toronto's first Chinatown came into being.
The first Chinatown started around the Union Station and then bits and pieces through that downtown area because it wasn't a visible community until it got more along Elizabeth Street. And when it got there, you have the goods and services that the people needed and would come down on the weekends to do their shopping. So it wasn't the same as what we see today.
The first Chinatown was probably in the 1905. That means there's a more concentration of Chinese around Queen Street and Elizabeth, around the area. But later they expand toward to the north. And then by 1910, there was definitely a Chinatown.
It was the construction of Toronto's new City Hall that changed the face of the city and the location of Chinatown, pushing most of the shops and restaurants further west.
When the City Hall of Toronto were being built, then many of the buildings around Chinatown were either sold, bought by the city or sold by, bought up by developer, and then a large part of Chinatown is completely destroyed and for the urban renewal. And that's in Toronto's situation. That's why all the business in Elizabeth Street, on Chestnut Street, those buildings were sold to developer, and then they have built high-rise buildings. And as a result, some of these associations start to move westward.
The Chinatown behind City Hall, as it now stands, if it had expanded, it could not go along Elizabeth Street or Dundas Street towards Eaton Centre, because Eaton Centre was to the east. It couldn't go north because of the hospitals, and then by going west, you come to University Avenue. So it kind of hop-skipped over University Avenue, went along Dundas, and then up and down Spadina. That would be what I would call the second Chinatown.
And that second Chinatown here at Dundas and Spadina keeps evolving, along with the Asian community. The shops, the restaurants here are increasingly multicultural and increasingly reflect the growing Vietnamese community.
When the Vietnam, the boat people came, and many are overseas Chinese, many of them cannot speak English, and they speak Chinese, and start along Spadina area and west, then there are a lot of Vietnamese shops start to grow along Spadina area.
When that particular space became too expensive, then it came to this area, which is what I consider the third Chinatown. The properties were less money than in the other areas.
That third Chinatown is here at Girard and Broadview. A recently built arch stands as a monument to its growing significance.
We're looking forward to it bringing people back into this community to make them very proud of what we've been able to accomplish. So it's going to be the focal point between this part of the Chinatown, the hospital across the street, the library, the public library here, and part of this little triangle will be the old Don Jail, which they've preserved.
And on the wave of that development came many great restaurants and shops, and even further expansion.
Hong Ji is the first store built there, a barbecue shop, and from there some grocery, and now they start to expand along Girard Street toward the east, and then create a new Chinatown.
As more immigrants came to Toronto, you get the group that go up to what they called Scarberia, and they had a little more money to relocate the people that were being bought out in the second Chinatown. Now you have Chinatown in Mississauga, and then the north part of the city, we have Richmond Hill, Markham, and Unionville, where there are plazas which are totally Chinese. All the signage is Chinese as well.
It's like being in Hong Kong, you know what I mean? Like having gone to Hong Kong, you know, years ago and experiencing the sort of the way shops are set up and how boutique house little things are set up, and everything is all mishmashed together, and even the shape and structure of the mall, you know, like it's very much like being in Hong Kong, right? With all the billions of stalls and you go places. And even the products, by and large, are shipped over from China.
It may have the look and the feel of Hong Kong, but the movement of Asian communities to suburbs like Scarborough brought much more than just shops and restaurants. It brought important cultural services too.
The mandate of the Chinese Cultural Center Youth Chapter is to promote Chinese and Canadian culture to youth within the GTA and anyone else that is interested as well. Also to promote the spirit of volunteerism and also leadership values amongst youth within the GTA.
I have the opportunity to do a lot of community service for the Chinese community, especially focusing on youth. So, for example, when we organize events for the resident workshops or the achievement awards, all of these things make me feel connected because I feel I'm actually contributing and doing something for the Chinese community.
And that connection goes two ways, allowing young Chinese Canadians not only to contribute today, but also to gain a better understanding of their yesterday, of their cultural roots.
好的信誉是很难达到的，超卓质素及杰出课后服务的信誉就更难达到。这些都是要赢取的。在过去10年 ，Lexus 相比其他豪华汽车制造商，在美国赢取了更多优质汽车的奖项，原因只有一个：我们要为您带来更多完美的时刻。Lexus 追求完美。
Did you know that 1 Canadian child in 4 is either overweight or obese? Hi, I'm Vernon Wells, inviting you to learn more about At My Best,